Call to, call to order the Finance Committee meeting for April 16th, 2018. Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of April the 2nd, 2018.
After review of the minutes, are there any additions or corrections?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Irie Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout. Yes. Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 1 passed. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments March 29th, 2018 through April 11th, 2018.
Do we have a report from the Purchasing Committee?
Yes, the Purchasing Committee did meet this afternoon, and we did review all claims, and we would recommend approval of those items.
Have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the claims. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2 passed. Item number 3, please.
Consider approval of awarding the lowest and best bid to Cook Construction and Crane Services for stormwater system improvements to the Civitan Drainage Basin for the Debbie Jane Lane and Bonnie Avenue project in the amount of $64,125 or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and committee. This will be one of the first projects, or latest projects along the Civitan Drainage Basin. This is the upper end where Debbie and Bonnie Jane Lane come together. We have 3 houses in there affected by flooding, and we're putting this in to make a significant reduction in the frequency of that flooding. It's going to be paid for by the OWRB loan, and Greg Armstrong's here with HUB to give a quick overview of the project.
Good evening. I think you've seen this before, but I'm just going to go over it real quick again so you're familiar with it. Like you said, it's the Debbie Jane Lane, Bonnie Avenue cul-de-sac, part of the Civitan Drainage Basin study that's funded by the Clean Water Revolving Fund. This is a location map to show where it is. I don't know if you can read that, but you can see York Street and Haskell Boulevard. Does this have a pointer on it?
The bottom.
Okay. There. So right there is that yellow line there is our storm sewer project. These are the drainage areas involved. Right there again is that storm sewer we're talking about. It's part of a bigger storm sewer system you can see right there. So we had to calculate the drainage areas for the whole thing to make sure the entire system wasn't impacted by the whatever we do here. This is the actual project. This is the intersection in the cul-de-sac of Bonnie Jane and Debbie Avenue. Right here are the 2 houses that are being flooded approximately 5 to 10 times a year. And I say flooded, they're, like we talked about earlier, they have sump pumps in their garages. They get nervous almost every time it rains that they're going to have to sandbag. They've got sandbags on their driveways. What we're going to do is it all gathers right here. So this whole drainage basin in the red comes to that point.
Wow.
So there's some inlets right there that cannot accept it all. And hence goes over the curb and into these 2 driveways here. These driveways kind of tilt back. So what we're proposing to do is to catch most of it right here with a trench grate. So this will be all the way across the street. It's designed to take the flow that we come up with, and hopefully hardly any of it's going to get by this little trench grate, and that cul-de-sac will be safe. This is just a snapshot of the plans that went out for bid. Cook Construction was the low bidder on this project for $64,000. Engineer's estimate was about $85,000. We had a couple other bids at $100,000. So Cook was low, but we talked to them about it. They're all happy with it. we're happy with Cook, so we recommend acceptance. And that's all I have for you, unless you have any questions.
How many inches of water per hour will that little drain hold?
Will that little drain or the one we're
The
going?
one you're putting in?
That right there is going to catch 25 cubic feet per second,
Okay.
which is a lot, which is a 25-year event. So
So,
they're worried about the 2-year events even. So we're going to help them a lot.
I know throughout our city we have a couple areas that are almost identical to that, where we have houses sitting below the runoff. So maybe if it works there, we can put it a couple other places.
These
What-
two
what's
people are
the,
so
uh,
happy.
What's the street address for one of those houses that floods? Either one of them?
Oh, I couldn't
You know
tell
by
the
chance?
address. Y'all know.
1001 Maybe Mayor, 1001 Bonnie Lane, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
I've been there so many times.
The question I have is that since this bid was rated as the lowest and best bid, why is it lowest and best, or what makes it lowest and best compared to the local contractor, Tonto, that applied for it? Because one of my concerns was, and I think we've had this conversation among ourselves as council, that when we do a lowest and best bid to a non-local operator, there have been times, although maybe few, where because of cost overruns later on, that project might have been better suited to have been given to the next bidder up. So what makes this one lowest and best against the local contractor that applied?
Well, we usually take into consideration and call references on the contractors. We're extremely familiar with Cook and don't expect them to make any large change orders. Their bid was about 50,000 less than Tonto, I think, which was more than significant to call them the lowest and best bid.
Is Cook not local?
They're out of Fort Gibson, so they're kind of within our local range.
Okay. I didn't know if it was that far away outside of our city. I mean,
But they've got local business assets here, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
yes. Say Cook is pretty local. I mean, they're right here in our city.
I mean, I was just curious because I know that we've had that conversation before about those that are actually in Muskogee versus in the county, you know, even when they have a local interest here in the city.
One thing from my 25 years of experience, Cook Construction for me is a pleasure to do business with. They're capable and competent, and they don't jack you around. They do very good work. It's my experience.
Ours too. We were happy to get that little bit.
Move for approval.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 3 passed. Item number 4, please.
Consider approval to accept engineering services agreement from Holloway, Updike, and Bellin, Inc. for professional services for the plans and specifications for roadway improvements at US 62 and Country Club Road in the amount of $56,750, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and committee, this is, a while back, we approved a resolution with ODOT to improve this intersection signal. ODOT's participating 80% of the signal cost. We are going to participate in the road work and improvements, including drainage improvements south of the intersection. ODOT will actually, once we have the plans complete, ODOT will actually bid the project and inspect the project. And the funds will come from CIP for signals and the stormwater for the drainage part. And Wes with Hub is here to explain more of the project to you.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. So this project will be Country Club Road. The footprint of it won't really be on US 62. So if we go, if you look at this slide here, so this is south looking north. So this would be the new, it's not shown here in this aerial, but this would be the new come and go there. This would be the old come and go. So I'm sure y'all are familiar with this intersection. So what we have going on here is, right now, this section here, there's a left turn and a right turn, and it's kind of crowded, and there's not much storage right here for the left turn. So as people are waiting to turn left, it backs up, and there's kind of causes some congestion problems. So the solution here is to widen to the west, and that will kind of accommodate that turn lane, so you'll have more of a designated left turn lane. Now, the traffic operations that were recommended for the best solution would be to still maintain the signalization as a permissive turn lane, so it would be green. You would have to yield to oncoming traffic. With widening here in the future, if you wanted to go to a designated protected turn where you would have a left turn only, that would be the option in the future. But for now, if we keep this as a permissive only, that kind of improves flow. And when you add in that left turn lane, it slows traffic way down, because you've got another operation. You've got a left turn, and then you've got to wait for that left turn, which in turn, when that happens, this traffic here that's going to turn left and northbound onto Country Club would back up even further than what it does. And then you would have the same thing here, but there's not quite as much traffic turning here as there is the northbound. And so we have the same situation here. We'll be doing widening to the west here and accommodating. And the bays, on both bays right now, we have configured at a 100-foot storage bay, and that was the minimum recommended storage bay on the traffic study that we have. And then the shaded area here is just kind of a footprint of the overall improvement. Of course, from the edge here, this concrete here would be included in the reconstruction as well as here. So overall aesthetics would improve, as well as this area here has some drainage concerns. Water kind of stands there because there's not any real storm drains under there. So,
that's an understatement.
This project will address that and offer improvements on that. So we'll be taking this storm water and draining it. Oops, what happened?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you see traffic going north on Country Club coming up to that intersection, sometimes they cheat a little and get over in the other lane to turn on the access road there.
Mm-hmm.
Will your plan have any effect on that?
What we've got shown here is we're putting that little narrow median dividing strip back in there, so we can extend that further to kind of mitigate that turning. But we've spoken with ODOT, and we have to keep the medians in there, so we're not going to be removing the medians. They'll be reconstructed.
Well,
will the median go further south? I think
yeah,
that's what she was asking.
Is that what you're wondering? We can take it further south, definitely.
That would
I see
probably
that
be
often.
advisable. Yes.
Yeah, that's a frequent occurrence.
Yeah, which is a pretty big safety hazard there.
yes.
Yeah. If you extend that, another 30 feet, that might say, well, I'm not going to do that.
Absolutely. I've noticed the same thing happens on the north side. You get guys wanting to turn left here. You can't right now. You can't turn. I was out there taking pictures, and someone did that. So it's pretty dangerous.
So will they extend it further south?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. If that's what you guys want, we can definitely extend it further south.
Unless there's some other option to.
With the extension of the turn lanes, I don't see an issue with extending them further south.
I think it may make it safer, because I've almost hit some people when I turn off Shawnee onto the Country Club, that they're doing that right there, and I have to stop, and I've almost hit some people myself coming off the highway. So depending on how much it's going to cost us now. Or
We're already going to be extending this, so extending the median will be minimal.
okay.
Mike, you might can answer this. I think we've got one intersection in town with one of those flashing yellow turn lanes at Hancock and York. Boy, it'd sure be nice to have our second one put at this location.
Yeah, when we do the signal design, we'll look at that, and that would probably be the way I would lean, so we'll look into that.
This would be a perfect location for that.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve item number 4. Any-
Before we go to a vote, go back to that picture. Yes, this one. I've asked if I had my druthers if see that there looks almost 3 foot wide, the median in the center.
It's pretty narrow.
Yeah, if I could be king for a day and pick, I'd like stamped red concrete on top of that just to make it look a little nicer and also a little bit more visible.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Hale,
Yes?
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 4 passed, and that is our final item for the Finance Committee.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call tonight's Public Works Committee to order, April the 16th, 2018. Item number 1.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of April the 2nd, 2018.
Everybody has had time to review the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Move the approval.
Second? Do I have a
Second.
Second. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No. Roll call. Sorry, I'm used to finance.
Wrong meeting?
Wrong meeting.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Hale,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2.
Consider approval of resolution number 2720, establishing an administrative process and fee for the issuance of a certificate of compliance for interim licensing of the sale of strong beer and wine by certain retailers in accordance with Title 37A of the Oklahoma statutes.
Mr. Tucker, I believe this is your item.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, as you all know, the magic date of October 1st, 2018 is coming shortly upon us, and that is when the requirements that the voters approved with State Question, I believe, 792, to allow the sale of strong beer and wine in other outlets besides liquor stores will come into effect. Meanwhile, in order for those shopkeepers and convenience store owners to be able to bring their stock in, Able Commission is issuing interim licensing to allow them to do that. So as part of Able Commission's licensing, they send notification to us through the city clerk's office that anyone who has a business within Muskogee, we're required to provide a certificate of compliance from the city. And in doing that, we check a couple of things. We check their zoning requirements, number one, and we determine whether they're appropriate, not only are they appropriately zoned, but that they're requisite distance from schools and things of that nature. And so, of course, as you would imagine, in determining that, that takes staff resources. Currently, since this interim licensing has been effective, we don't really have a mechanism to allow a process for that to occur, as well as a fee to charge. And so what we're proposing is a resolution which would authorize that process, as well as authorize a fee of $100 to be charged to an applicant who needs that interim licensing. Now, under state statute, Able Commission will have exclusive right to license for the sale of strong beer and wine. However, as I said, the city will be a part of that licensing process. Now, you may find this unusual that we've recommended that this be in the form of a resolution versus an ordinance. But you all may have seen that there are a number of bills that are working their way through the legislature which may affect how 792 is ultimately implemented. And so we didn't want to present this in an ordinance format only to have it changed in at the end of May when the legislature goes out of session. And so what we're requesting you to do is to approve this resolution, which will establish this mechanism and will approve the fee. This, I believe, the manager has indicated that this will be done through the planning department as well as through the inspections department. And so Ms. Terrell, who is in Tammy's office, will be the receiver of the application, and then she'll be in charge of referring this to planning for the zoning check and whatnot. But this actually does require someone from staff to physically go out to the location. And so there is some expense in that. That's why the fine is recommended, not the fine, the fee is recommended at $100. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I recommend approval.
What are other cities our size doing in terms of this type of fee?
This is it. This is a copy of a resolution that we got from the city of Stillwater, and it is currently being circulated amongst many other communities in order to establish a very similar process in the interim. Now, of course, at the end of May, when we get ready to digest the new laws that have come into effect that will make changes to the way alcohol, strong beer and wine are sold, then we may go back and modify. But this is what they're doing now.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Do we have any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Be recognized, Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
Yeah, well, how many feet away from a school, a church, or can alcoholic places be for selling alcohol?
Well, it depends. There is a limit under our ordinance. I think Matt looked it up the other day. Was it 300 feet? It's either 300 or 500. I can't remember exactly. I think it's 300. But that's only if alcohol is their primary sale. If, for example, it's a restaurant and alcohol is not the primary sale, then there's no restriction.
But this right here, what we're voting on, still has to do with selling of alcohol.
This makes no change to those existing ordinances at all.
But that's what I'm saying. This still has to do with selling alcohol and making a profit off of it.
The city of Muskogee is not a licensing agency. The Able Commission will have to issue the license. But as part of Able's licensing process, they send a certificate of compliance to the city, and we have to verify whether they meet zoning requirements. And if they do, then we send back our certificate that says, yes, they're in compliance. But the crux of the answer is, yes, it has to do with the sale of alcohol, strong beer and wine.
So if I vote yes on this, that means I'm agreeing that they do this, selling alcohol.
No. Your yes vote will be that you agree with establishing a process for establishing a fee and for verifying within the city that these businesses are in compliance.
Well, I don't believe in alcohol, period. So, okay. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? How many do we anticipate? Do we know that? Yeah, I know it's a lot.
We've had them start coming in.
Yeah.
I think I got
all the Homeland stores, several convenience stores, or
yeah, because we're in essence, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking every convenience store, grocery store.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to see if my assumption was correct. Okay. Any other questions? Got a motion and a second, and have our questions. Can I have roll call, please?
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
No.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Passes. Item number 3.
Consider the appointment of Dan Hall to the Chamber of Commerce Committee for Convention and Tourism to serve a term commensurate with his term on City Council, replacing James Scully, or take other necessary action.
Councilor Reed.
I have the great honor of presenting a recommendation of a great man that works hard in our community that I think would make a perfect fit for the Chamber's tourism. So it is my honor at this time to ask that you guys consider Mr. Dan Hall.
I accept.
Mr. Dan Hall, please.
I know this guy, and he's a great guy. I think he should be on here.
So I got a motion and a second.
I love y'all too.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Most definitely.
Dan Hall?
No.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Item passes. It's good we can have fun here. Item number 4.
Consider the appointment of Jamie Stout to the City Facilities Board to serve a term commensurate with her term on City Council or take other necessary action.
Counselor Kale.
I'd like to make a motion that our esteemed colleague Jamie Stout serve on the City Facilities Board. She's naturally well qualified, and I'm in very much appreciation that she's willing to serve.
I will second that. Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 5.
Consider the appointment of Wayne Divalbis to serve on the City Facilities Board, filling the unexpired term of Stacy Simpson, beginning April 24th, 2018, and ending August 31st, 2021, or take other necessary action.
Counselor Stout.
Wayne wants just to be more involved in the city, and I think he'll make a great asset to this board.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 6.
Consider the appointment of Jennifer Crotty to serve on the Roxy Theater Community Trust, subject to a term to be established in the bylaws or take other necessary action.
That is my nominee, and any of you know Jennifer Crotty. She is very active in our community, loves the arts, and that will be my recommendation.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Here I go again. I'm sorry. I just come out of Public Works, out of Finance Committee. Any questions on that recommendation? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 7.
Consider the appointment of Kim Lynch to serve on the Roxy Theater Community Trust, subject to a term to be established in the bylaws or take other necessary action.
Counselor Reed.
My recommendation for the Roxy Trust, the co-worker of mine, great lady in our community who has a great access to any board that she sits on. She had the honor of being with the Martin Luther King Trust when it was established, and I think she'd be a good person to help get the Roxy Trust up. And so I recommend Kim Lynch.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on that? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 8.
Consider the appointment of Charles Moore to serve on the Roxy Theater Community Trust, subject to a term to be established in the bylaws or take other necessary action.
Counselor Van.
Yeah, this is my nomination, and he comes highly, highly, highly recommended. So I'd like to make a motion to put him on this Roxy board.
Second.
Trust. Sorry.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions?
Is this Reverend Moore?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
I should have put Reverend on it. I'm sorry.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 9.
Consider the appointment of Ren Stratton to serve on the Roxy Theater Community Trust, subject to a term to be established in the bylaws, or take other necessary action.
Counselor Boydston.
Yes, I think Ren Stratton's name, it goes right along with the arts in Muskogee. She's former mayor and very active and passionate about all things that are good for Muskogee, and I move that she be put on this board.
I'll second that. Got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on that one? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout. Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 9 passes. Item number 10.
Consider the appointment of Roger Bell to serve on the Roxy Theater Community Trust, subject to a term to be established in the bylaws, or take other necessary action.
Well, I see that we've all made some excellent recommendations to the Roxy Theater Trust, and I'd like to name another. I make a motion that we approve Roger Bell to serve on the Roxy Theater Community Trust as well.
I'll second that. And you're right, Roger Bell does a lot of community work for our city, and he does great work over at the Three Rivers Museum. Man, I couldn't think of a better guy to put on here.
There's some good board members here. This is going to be a good board.
Got a motion and a second, and you're very right on Roger, and Roger is also doing work inside the Roxy there as far as co-sponsoring with Three Rivers there. Any other discussion items on that recommendation? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 10 passes. Item number 11.
Consider the appointment of David Ragsdale to serve on the Parks and Recreation Board, replacing Alan Foster beginning April 24th, 2018, and ending March 31st, 2022, or take other necessary action.
Counselor Reed.
David Ragsdale, former city councilman. He has served on many boards throughout the community, and he's just one of those gentlemen that's looking for something to do to keep him involved in our city's movement. Pastor of the Mount Zion Baptist Church. I would like to present David Ragsdale to be on the Parks Board.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Do we have any questions regarding that recommendation? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 11 passes. Item number 12.
Consider the appointment of James Gully to serve on the Street Improvement Advisory Commission, replacing Kim Fricks beginning April 24th, 2018, and ending March 31st, 2023, or take other necessary action.
Excuse me. Mayor Coburn.
Everybody knows James Gully, served on the council for years, deputy mayor, passionate about the streets in Muskogee, and has served on the committee, several years ago, and does an excellent job. And I recommend his name for approval.
Second.
I'll let you have the second.
Thank you.
Hey, I thought he was retiring.
Tricked him.
Got a motion and a second, and I'm so thankful to see Mr. Gully still serving our community. Do I have any other questions regarding that recommendation? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 12 passes. Item number 13.
Consider the appointment of Brent Trout to serve on the Parks and Recreation Board, replacing Jimmy Stinson beginning April 24th, 2018, and ending March 31st, 2022, or take other necessary action.
Mayor Coburn.
Brent Trout, the War Memorial Park, has just done a banner job. He's a great guy. He and his wife Mia and their daughter love this community dearly, and I think he would make an excellent addition to the Parks and Recreation Board, and I move for his approval.
And he's here.
Second.
In his what?
He's here tonight.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Red Trout, you're on. Take your hat off so we can see you. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout? Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
We've not received any recognitions for anybody wishing to speak tonight, so that would conclude our Public Works.
We now call to order the special call meeting, Muskogee City Council, April 16th, 2018. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Here.
Dan Hall?
Here.
Marlon Coleman?
Here.
Jamie Stout?
Here.
Wayne Johnson?
Here.
Patrick Kale?
Here.
Ivory Van?
Here.
Derek Reed?
Here. Items number 1 and 2.
Pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the pending litigation involving Catherine Phillips and Orland Phillips filed in the District Court, case number CV 2012165, in and for Muskogee County, Oklahoma, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. Pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters, Local Number 57, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
Consider a motion for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes. And the motion carries. If you'd excuse us, we will go into executive session. If you excuse us from the council chamber. Reconvene from executive session. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Here.
Dan Hall?
Here.
Marlon Coleman?
Here.
Jamie Stout?
Here.
Wayne Johnson?
Here.
Patrick Kale?
Here.
Ivory Van?
Here.
Derek Reed?
Here.
We are accounted for. And items 1 and 2.
Thank you, Mayor. Pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, the City Council did convene an executive session to discuss the pending litigation involving Catherine and Orland Phillips, filed originally in District Court, case CV 2012-165. And after being fully briefed on the status of that case and the comparable case, which is the one in federal court, I believe an appropriate motion would be to consider the approval to appoint Dan Hall as a settlement representative with Janie Boydston as an alternative representative in said case, as well as to approve settlement authority within the range discussed in executive session.
So move.
What a motion?
Second.
Second. Any comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes. Item number 2, please.
Pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, the Council did convene an executive session to discuss ongoing negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters, Local Number 57. After being briefed on the status of those negotiations, no action is necessary at this time. Mayor?
That concludes our agenda. Thank you for joining us.